Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today's kind of a sad day. We finished up the 2023 autocross season. I've mentioned it many times before that this my 330 Ci, and I run it at Atlanta SCCA and the Peachtree BMW Club as well. But I had a pretty good run throughout the year. Had to get these wheels and tires just before the summer break. My old tires I got corded, and I absolutely love these. These are Apex ARC-8 wheels, 17 by 9. I think the ET is 42, and the tires are Bridgestone RE71 RS's. 255 40 17, running a square setup all the way around. And I gotta tell you, these things are absolutely amazing. Love how the car turns and handles, can get on power really well. Results from the season, I took first place in my class at SCCA. I was running in XA. The only thing that really put me in there was I got catless headers, so you're not supposed to be in any kind of street class. I think next year I'm just going to go to STX, even though technically I shouldn't be in there, but no one is running XA. There was maybe 3-4 other people that ever participated in XA this year, and not enough to be any kind of competitive nature, maybe 1, 2, 3 events. For BMW Club, I was in Class D, and the first part of the year I was floating between third place and second place, but after getting these tires, I won every single one of my races against 2 other guys in E30s with the M20 6-cylinders. They were very well prepped as well, very good drivers. It was really close, a lot of races, but after getting these, I won every single race that I participated in the rest of the season. So I took first place at the BMW Club as well. So pretty stoked. So today, what we need to do is some end of the year maintenance. She's filthy. It rained all weekend. Had a run in the rain, which wasn't very fun. Wasn't terrible, but dry days are more fun. So we got to get it cleaned up. Need to do an oil change. Need to change out the oil level sensor. A common problem with these cars, when you turn the key on, or start the car actually, the yellow oil light will come on, stay on for 15-20 seconds or so. That's typically is the oil level sensor is bad. Now this I actually did take care of about a year ago, replaced it. Everything was fine until last winter. I did the clutch job and détente on this, and basically slammed the oil level sensor into the subframe a few times, so it's not too happy. Immediately after that, I started getting the light, went into INPA, verified the code that it was a sensor reading error, so we're gonna go ahead and replace that as well. It's bolted to the oil pan, so you're doing an oil change, replace the sensor. Then just go through it, just make sure everything looks okay, take note of what needs to be replaced, and we're gonna put our street tires back on. No sense running on these. So I think that's the plan for today. Let's get this thing up in the air. We'll do a walk around underneath, show you kind of what I'm looking for maintenance wise, and kind of show you some of the mods that I've done to the car. Exterior wise, obviously the car is extremely stock outside of the wheels. And I actually love that. I love the stock look. Interior is still stock as well. I'm gonna have to do something about these seats. One, I'm sliding all around in them, and you can see they're starting to fail. This is a typical E46 thing. Starting to get a split there. The seam's coming undone on the bottom seat cushion. It's all scratched up. This stuff doesn't bother me too much. It all functions, but the sliding around in the seat is kind of a pain in the butt. I did rewrap the steering wheel at some point, and I just started putting in a Enon touchscreen. Other than that, like I said, the interior is pretty stock. I did do Alcantara headliner, and all the ABC pillars were recovered. It's not a perfect job, but it's a hell of a lot better than what it was. Material wise, cost me about 120 bucks. Honestly, if If I had to do it again, if I could find someone to do the whole job for under 300 bucks, I probably would pay them because it's not a fun job. Taking it in and out is not terrible, especially being a coupe. You got a little more room to get the headliner out compared to a sedan. But it's just one of those fiddly jobs that, you know, you got to take a lot of time, and you get something a little messed up, and, you know, you pay for it. But so yeah, let's go ahead and get this thing up in the air. We'll take a look around, see how the car fared through the year, and we'll go from there. All right, well, we got her up in the air. Got a jack underneath it as well as for safety. We'll put a couple wheels underneath as well, just for triple, quadruple safety when you go underneath the car. Generally for an oil change, I wouldn't bother putting it up on jacks like this. I just go up on my ramps. But I gotta change out the wheels. I wanna check the brakes, steering, suspension components. So it's up on all fours. And like I said, before we go underneath, we'll get it some extra safety with the wheels under it. So obviously this is the business end of the car where all the magic happens. Here you can see my eBay headers. I got these. One, you can still find them on eBay for about 100 bucks. Fortunately, EPA find those sellers pretty heavily. They're kind of hard to find. They're starting to pop up again, but they can be a little hard to find. I'm going to change our oil. So I'll take the cap off for now. What I've done under here is pretty much everything. Whole cooling system, Vanos line, oil filter housing, gasket, intake gaskets, throttle body gaskets. Got a new intake tube, which I actually should get a new one. I'm starting to get a little split up here at the top of this F connector. This has been rebuilt. Air filter is just a Canon drop-in. We might as well check that while we're doing all this anyway. New power steering reservoir. If you guys didn't know, there's actually a filter in there that is not serviceable, so do definitely recommend changing that out if you haven't. Let's see, there's one more clip under here. All right, get this slid out. We're gonna see what this filter looks like. Actually really clean, but you know, it's probably only a couple thousand miles on it. I'll just leave it out for now. So you want to check our power steering level, and it's pretty good. This is all new fluid, nice and cherry red. I said pretty much everything, belts, tensioners, all that stuff's been replaced. Actually, now I'm looking at it, I think my AC belt is old, so I might need to get that on order. We'll check it underneath as we take a look at it. I just like to get that done preventively. I've had some of the fluid changed out for the brakes. We probably should get a full flush before next season. I'm not going to do that today, but I'll just keep that as a reminder. So everything under hood looks pretty good. The cabin air filter is fairly new. I'm not going to bother pulling that out. But let's start our inspection. All right, so if you guys you know, see these at the junkyard or you're parting the car out, save the truck mats. They're nice to lay on. Tools don't get all caught up in it like on a moving blanket or something like that. It's just as good as cardboard. It's sprayed off with a hose and you're done. You can see my Turner Motorsports sway bar. This is 30 millimeter solid. But you see something really odd? It's dry under here. Not a single drop of oil. You know, you can have a non-dripping, non-leaking BMW. It takes a little bit to get there, to get through all the things, but you know, there are absolutely no drips at all underneath. It has new inner and outer tie rods. Those are ZHP control arms. Difference with them is that they have a all metal ball joint versus a composite with the standard and sport suspension. So I thought that was a good option when I had to replace those. I had some loose ball joints last year, so that's been replaced. You know, oil pan gaskets replaced. Pretty much all the gaskets on the engine that are prone to leaking have been fixed. So it's good to see that we're nice and dry. Just taking a look again under here. Like I said, not a drip anywhere. Lollipop bushings, just stock Lemforder bushings. I don't have any poly in this car. I wanted a nice mix between a street ride and an autocross car, so it's all Lemforder stock stuff. All rubber bushings everywhere, including the engine mounts, so everything rides really nice. I don't see anything else really on here to look at. Let's go ahead and we'll take a look at steering suspension stuff. Just by grabbing, things are tight. Well, we're gonna grab some wheels. Oh, I found something here. This might need to get clipped. Oh, you know what? It's broken up here. This is actually, well, this scrape's not from it, but this broken bit is from when I hit a cone. Yeah, we can get this tucked back up a little bit. Get that secured. This side is fine. All right, so let's take a look at the steering. Not sure how much you're gonna be able to see through my arms here, but I got you set up. Basically, what I'm gonna do is shake the wheel down and check for play in the wheel bearings and steering components. So basically just grab 9 and 3. I'm not feeling any clunks or anything abnormal there. And then 12 and 2. If that clunks, you've got a wheel bearing issue, so that one's good. Let's go to the other side. We'll do the same thing. Hear a little bit of rack noise from it moving around, but that's about it. That's nice and good as well. So steering suspension is good. Take a look. I already looked on the other side, checked my struts. They are nice and dry, although the dust boot looks like it might have come up. I don't know if there's any spot I can get in there with a zip tie or not, but these are Bilstein V8 shocks, H&R sport springs. I didn't want to go with a race because, again, I wanted to feel decent on the road. So that's what's here. Brake wise, I'll pop wheels off and show you that here in a second, but they're just standard blanks from FCP. I don't remember the brand of pads, but standard brake pads from there as well. That might get upgraded at some point. But let me go ahead and zip these wheels off. We'll take a look at the brakes. All right, we got our wheels off. Take a look at our rotors here. They're nice and smooth. No ridge, front or back. Take a gander at our pads here. They got tons and tons of meat on them. Like I said, I did these maybe a year or two ago, only a couple thousand miles. Again, strut looks good and dry. Swinger links are new. They're nice and tight. Set on the stiffest setting, of course, up front. Look at the lollipops are pretty good. You're missing a little hardware here and there for the fender liners. That's pretty normal. Not too worried about it as long as stuff stays in place. We look good. Let's go to the back. Paying attention, we got solid rotors on the front and drilled. Solid rotors on the front, slotted and drilled on the back. This is what was on the car when I got it. They're in good shape, so until they wear out, I'm not going to worry about replacing them. And brake pads, tons and tons of meat on them. So again, until it gets time to replace them, I'm just going to let them run. You get a little bit of surface rust because these were in New York. Again, here's the H&R springs, V8 shocks from Bilstein, the rear Turner Motorsport bar. That's set, I think, in the middle. I need to get adjustable sway links in order to move that around. Just got the jack under the diff just in case. But stock open diff, stock axles, stock brakes, 330 brakes. I've had this entire rear subframe out, all new bushings, rear trailing arms, bushings. If you didn't know, there's a ball joint on the top for the top control arm, and on the bottom is a bushing, but you can actually put the ball joint in both places just like an M3. And these are M3 R-tab bushings as well. So everything's looking good. We'll go check the other side real quick. Again, rotors in good shape. Pads look good, so we don't have any sticking calipers, bad hoses. The hoses probably should get changed out. That might make the list for this winter, and then do a full fluid flush. Other than that, it looks good. Let's see, the front rotors, nice and smooth again. Everything's nice and tight. I already shook that down. Let me swing this back the other way. Brake hoses up here look good. This little dusty and crusty. Brake pads look really good. Both surfaces are good, free and clear of rust and rot. So I think other than just getting our oil change in that sensor, we are pretty good to go. Okay, so this is what our next project's going to be. Doing the oil change. Got some liquid moly 5W30 OEM man filter. These, a lot of people forget about these. These are O-rings that go on the oil filter housing cap. At the bottom there's I'll show you when I get it off, but there's 2 O-rings that should get replaced every time you do the oil change. If you order a kit from FCP, it comes with them already. This is a OE Hella oil level sensor, so we're going to replace that. It's 3 10mm bolts. We're going to drop the oil first, do our top side stuff, replacing the filter cartridge, do those 2 O-rings, let everything drain out really good, and then we'll move on to that oil level sensor. I'm also going to do Blackstone analysis, so we'll send that off. One of the reasons I want to do that as well is this does seem to consume some oil, and the M54, especially the B30, if I'm recalling correct, the B25 is to some extent, but especially the B30, they are drinkers. They have an issue with the oil control ring, get stuck, and you end up burning some oil. I have done a whole new CCV that supposedly helps, and I also did the O2 pilot mod, which is basically you add an extra vacuum source to a nipple on the CCV, and that's supposed to increase some vacuum and help pull those rings out. But she still drinks some oil. I don't get any smoke anymore. I used to get that on D-cell a lot. If I did a long second gear roll to a stop, it would, when on re-accel, it would puff some smoke. I haven't seen that since the O2 pilot mod, but I did have to put a couple quarts of oil in this over the summer. So it still is drinking a little bit of oil. Obviously we saw underneath there's no leaks. Top side, new valve cover gaskets, half moons. Interesting was that this was actually the original valve cover gasket when I replaced that last year. I verified by the day code on the cover and the gasket itself. So it's never had a valve cover replacement, and it was just starting. If it sat a while, it would drip down on the header a little bit, then burn off when I drove. But since then, I haven't had that issue at all. The cover wasn't cracked. That's a common issue with these. But as you can see, it's nice and dry otherwise. So you might notice this is a little damp. This, like I said, this is a new power steering reservoir. There's a vent in the top, and when you really get on it, it can spill a little bit out of that vent. There's not much you can do to it. For next year, I might change that out to like a Mishimoto, and then put a power steering cooler on it, because some of the real hot days, I'll hear the power steering start whining, so I'm sure that fluid's not enjoying the heat. But for now, a little bit of dampness here is not a big deal. Other than that, the whole rest of the car is dry. So let's get you underneath, drop the oil out, get our sample, then we'll come topside and finish this oil change. All right, guys, well, this is about as best I can get you underneath the seat, but we'll go ahead and start dropping this oil. I'll get this, I already cracked this loose, but all right, we're really loose. So we'll just start getting this under, or this undone. There we go. All right, we got our sample. Get that closed up. So we're gonna go ahead and let that drain. I think we should be good with hand placement. I might sneak it back this way a little bit. We'll go top side. We'll pop that oil filter housing out, change out that filter. You know what? We're actually gonna have to drop this tray to get that level sensor. I forgot about that. That's not a big deal. There's what, 2, 4, 8, like 16mm bolts. And that drops down and get that level sensor out. But we'll do that after we get the topside stuff done. All right, just checked. We're still doing okay down below. So we're going to go ahead and take this old filter housing cap off. It's just a wheel socket that I've got laying around. Works pretty good. It's a, I think it's a, yes, 36. You just unscrew that. You probably heard some oil flow increase because there's those O-rings that I was mentioning. They actually stop this housing and keep all the oil in that housing. And when you loosen it, releases that pressure. So here you can see those two green O-rings. The old cartridge filter, it looks fine as far as I can see. When we get over the table, we'll pull that apart a little bit, make sure it looks good. But other than that, it's good. Inside the housing, don't see any big chunks of anything. So let's go over to the table, and I'm gonna go ahead and swap the filter element out and do those two O-rings. I'm just gonna do that off camera. Okay, so we got this all set to go back in. Get the two new O-rings on. You know, usually take the first one off, then the second one off. You know, just use a pick or a small screwdriver, get those off. Then you want to get this one on first because you can't roll that O-ring over top of this O-ring. And it's kind of a pain in the ass because, of course, you know, you get it over this into this groove, and then you got to pick it to get it over there. You just got to be careful that you don't, you know, tear the O-ring, because obviously then, you know, it's nothing you did was worthwhile. But you know, they're on there. You know, just use a little bit of the old oil as lube. Then there's an O-ring on the cap itself. There is a large groove here that's where the O-ring goes. I've seen some people put it all the way up against this ridge. That's not where it goes. It goes in this cutout, this ridge in the cap itself. That's where it seals. Another thing to note, in the oil filter kit, there's a drain plug crush washer. You want to replace that. I've seen some people actually put it here. It doesn't go there. It goes on your drain plug. So, you know, that's where that goes. Let's go over and get this on. Stick the filter back in. Do it by hand. Make sure that you get good thread engagement. It hasn't gone cross-threaded. This cap is plastic, and you see I've already not gotten it started. So you just got to give a little bit of pressure, and it should grab. Come on. There we go. Now I feel it going. And again, you just want to make sure you're feeling the engagement, that it's going smooth, it's not binding, it's not getting crooked. So let me grab that socket, we'll tighten her up. It's starting to get a little tight, but we'll go ahead and use this. You know, you don't use your impact on it, it's just plastic. I'm just going to go down to the seats. I'm sure there's a torque spec on it, but you just go good and tight. And you hear it start bottom out. There we go, click, it's all set. Now we'll go ahead, hit it with a little brake lane. Get our dirty mitt prints off it. And dry it off. Engine bay needs a light little detail anyway, but you know, this will get it cleaned up looking halfway presentable. So now what we got to do, we're all done topside. I got to drop that plate down. We'll drop that level sensor out, and then we can button her up, get the oil back in. All right, well, we got the skid plate out, got the drain plug in with the new crush washer, and harness unplugged from that oil sensor, which is right there on your screen. I apologize, it's a little hard to see. This tripod's just a little too tall, so just bear with me. We'll go ahead and get that out, the new one in. The new one already does have for focus, a new gasket on it, so we don't have to worry about that. I like to kind of loosen them all up at once. Same thing when I tighten them, I just kind of work them up evenly so nothing binds, everything goes smooth. And these are just 3 10mm bolts. Alright, now we're gonna not drop our stud into the oil pan here. So you see the old sensors out. We'll send that back to FCP for warranty. Go ahead up with the new one. It only fits one way, so you can't get it wrong. You start them by hand, you make sure everything's engaging correctly. And if you live in a state that doesn't get rust, it's not so much of an issue, but I'm just kind of ingrained in my head dealing with that kind of stuff up north. And this car was from the north, so while it's very clean, So the hardware's still kind of grody. Just about snug on all three. Then I'm gonna kind of torque them again to good and tight. It's small hardware. You don't need to go crazy. It's, you know, going. You don't want to break these bolts off in the oil pan. That'd be a sucky job. You have to drop the subframe to get the oil pan out. I really don't feel like doing that. All right, there we are. Take our harness. I don't know if you can see it, but it's actually missing the clip. I gotta remember to order that at some point. But she stays on just fine. It slides on one way. Now we got our drain plug in. That's all secured. Once we're sure there's no leaks, we'll throw the oil or the skid plate back on, and we are done. Just gotta throw the summer wheels on. All right, we got our liquid moly. These are kind of nice. You just pull these tabs up, and it pulls the spout out. So you now got a nice little pour spout. Twist the top off, and you're ready to pour. Actually, gotta pull this sealer out, sealing ring out too. Other than that, you are good to go. Got my nice big funnel there. I'm probably just gonna put the first 5 quarts in, make sure there's no leaks, and go ahead and put the last 2 in. And we'll check the level before the last quart goes in. I don't hear anything hitting the ground, so that's a good sign. There's the first 5. I'll go ahead and drop that other one in there. We'll check our levels and button her back up. All right, well, we are back to off-season mode. Oil change is done. That oil level sensor's changed. Oil's topped off. Street tires are back on. So what's next for the old girl? Well, there's really not a whole lot to do. I think on the list for this winter, I want to do lug stud conversion. It'll help swapping tires back and forth a little bit. I need camber plates up front, and I say need because I do, not just want. I've got about -1/2 degrees of camber up front, and I'm scrubbing the outside edges of the tires pretty good. Even the first and second treads pretty bad. So I need to get those plates run, you know, close to -3 degrees, and I think that'll take care of it. The only real mechanical thing, I haven't done Vanos. That should probably get done this winter as well. Vanos seems to work just fine. Other than that, there's not a whole lot to do with the old girl. So I don't know what, we're losing a little light here, so I'm not gonna get to wash it today. But what do you say we go for a quick little drive? But before we do that, how about a cold start? Not gonna get too crazy because it is cold. You see no amber engine oil light. I washed it the entire time I started it. It has not come on, so we know that it is all set. And obviously the red oil light, which would be oil pressure, that's not on, so we got good oil pressure, and there's no puddles underneath, so let's go for a ride. Alright guys, it's actually the next morning. Got a little too dark last night. Traffic gets kind of crazy, so I just thought I'd take you out for a little cruise here and give you a taste for the old girl. still has the whole stock exhaust from cat back, so it's not too loud inside the car. It's comfortable. So I think we're gonna call this project all done. I got a couple things that we might do over the winter, but other than that, you know, this car is pretty set. So thank everybody for watching.